All right, let's jump right in. When we talk about wellness in law enforcement, our focus almost always goes to the individual officer. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if the real issue isn't the person, but the system they're a part of? Today, we're going to dig into a pretty big idea. Law enforcement doesn't have a resilience problem. It has a resiliency training gap.
And this quote right here, it just nails it. Look, officers are some of the most resilient professionals on the planet. This isn't about their effort or their grit or their toughness. The problem is that the entire infrastructure that's supposed to support them just hasn't kept up with the insane demands of modern policing.
And to really get what this gap means, you first have to appreciate the incredible amount of pressure the whole system is under. I mean, the challenges facing departments today are unlike anything we've ever seen before. It's created this constant state of crisis.
It's truly a perfect storm, right? You've got this intense public and political scrutiny coming from all sides. You have a massive staffing crisis. And to make it worse, you have a huge wave of experienced officers retiring, taking decades of knowledge with them. You put all that together, and you can just imagine the immense psychological weight of being an officer in today's society.
So all that strain, it starts to expose this huge flaw in how we approach wellness and training. And honestly, this is a problem everywhere, not just in law enforcement, but it is felt so acutely here. So let's break down what this resiliency training gap actually is. So globally, organizations spend a mind-boggling $365 billion a year on training and development. That's literally $1 billion a day. And the investment is so huge because, we all know that properly trained people perform better and they experience less stress. It makes sense. But here's the absolute kicker. In spite of that massive investment, research shows that only about 10% of all that training ever actually gets applied on the job. That's a 90% failure rate. So the big question is, why? Why is this happening?
Well, it all comes down to this one key concept, the transfer of training. It's a simple idea, really. It just means taking what you learn in a classroom and actually being able to use it out in the real world, on the job. This resiliency gap we're talking about, it's basically a chronic failure of that transfer process. It's where all these great ideas from training just go to die.
So why does it fail so badly? Well, the source points to 3 huge system-level barriers. First, leadership unintentionally blocks change. A chief or a captain might send their people to a great training, but when they get back, everyone just defaults to business as usual and those new skills just fade away. Second, the system itself has no support structure. There's no funding, no dedicated time, no follow-through, so new initiatives just stall out. And third, and this is so important, there's no coaching bridge. There's nobody there to help officers figure out how to apply these new skills in real-world, high-stakes situations. Without that bridge, the training just can't take root. So, the answer isn't just more one-day trainings or another check-the-box wellness program. It's about a total shift in our thinking. We have to move away from trying to fix the individual and start building an organization that creates and supports resilient officers from the inside out.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly. On the left, you've got the old way, these one-off trainings, check-the-box wellness, zero follow-through, and it puts all the pressure on the individual officer to figure it out. But on the right, that's the new system, continuous, embedded support that actually builds a real culture of resilience with structured coaching that focuses on the whole organization.
Okay, so if that's the goal, how in the world do we actually build it? Well, it starts by embedding coaching right into the DNA of a department. Let's take a look at a pretty amazing pilot program that is doing exactly that.
This program is designed from the ground up as a full system intervention. It's not just a class. It's training 350 people to not only be more resilient themselves, but to become a living, breathing, 360-degree support system inside and around their departments.
And check out who they're training. It's not just the 200 active duty sworn officers. They're also training retired officers, mental health professionals, and even external coaches. See, when you get every single layer of the system trained up and speaking the same language, that's when resilience becomes self-sustaining. It just becomes part of how the department operates.
And hey, this isn't just some new theory. This is backed by serious research. The U.S. military, after reviewing its own resiliency programs, had research from Walter Reed that confirmed the exact same thing. Resilience training just doesn't stick without a leadership and coaching approach to back it up. The evidence is pretty clear. This is how you close that gap.
Now, here's where it gets really powerful. When you fix this internal, systemic problem, the positive effects, they don't just stay inside the department. They create this incredible ripple effect that goes way beyond the station walls.
So, the direct benefits for the department are, they're game-changing. You get stronger leadership at every single rank, you get way better communication, especially when things get tense, and you see a real boost in retention and morale. But most importantly, officers finally get support before stress boils over into a full-blown crisis.
But the impact, it goes so much further. And this is the point right here. When a first responder is genuinely supported, and, well, their family is well, their kids are well, their spouse is well, and when their family is well, the entire community they serve becomes healthier and safer. It's all connected.
So it leaves us with this one powerful question to think about. What happens when we stop asking individual officers to be resilient in a system that isn't, and we instead start building departments that produce resilient officers by their very design? Now that is the future this new approach is aiming for.